instituted against the federal government by family of late head of state General Sani Abacha, challenging the revocation of some properties. From the international scene, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, endorsed by President Biden to succeed him, moves towards the first critical decision of a candidacy, picking a running mate. Details of those and more coming your way shortly. To stay with us. Many thanks for joining us at this time. Now details of the news. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Professor John Oladapo Obafunwa as the new Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMR. Professor Obafunwa succeeds Professor Babatunde Salako, whose tenure expires on July 23, 2024. Ajirin Gilale, special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, in a statement, said the appointment takes effect from July 24, 2024. Ingilale said President Tinubu extends his gratitude to Professor Salako for his service to the nation. Professor Bafunwa qualified in medicine from the University of Lagos in 1980, following which he specialized in anatomic pathology, graduating in May 1987. He later subspecialized in forensic pathology in Scotland in 1991 and obtained a law degree from England in 2004. He has a number of other academic qualifications and holds membership of various professional bodies in the UK, US and Nigeria. He said the President expects the new Director General to bring his immense wealth of experience and qualification to bear in this role. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has assured the World Bank team of the Ministry's commitment to ensure value for every dollar that comes in, highlighting the urgency and meticulous oversight required to address the current educational challenges. He maintained that the Ministry will monitor every details as a result of time constraint. Correspondent Kolojo reports that the Minister gave the assurance at the pivotal meeting with the World Bank Country Director for Nigeria, Dr. Ndiame Diop, and his team at the Ministry's headquarters.
We drew up very clear priorities. It took us time to work on that. But it's generally acknowledged there are problems about the New York phrase uses the learning crisis and the basic education lesson.
Professor Mamman also highlighted the recent progress made, such as return of 4 million young people to school through various ministry initiatives and the imminent launch of the National Skills Framework in September 2024. On his part, Dr. Ndiame Diop commended the minister's vision, describing it as compelling and crucial for addressing the sector's challenges.
Perhaps to hear your vision and priorities in the education sector, in particular basic education, for which we are preparing a project that is being processed internally at the bank, and we are very excited about the project. It's a very promising project, which is paired with a linked project on governance.
The meeting concluded with a mutual resolve to strengthen the partnership between the Ministry of Education and the World Bank, ensuring that the outlined educational reforms are effectively executed to benefit Nigeria's future generations. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed a suit instituted against the federal government by the family of late head of state General Sani Abacha, challenging the revocation of the property of the former military ruler located in the Maitama district of Abuja. Justice Peter Lifu dismissed the suit in a judgment on the case filed 9 years ago, in which the Abacha family members are demanding for the return of their father's mansions located at Usara Close in Maitama and 500 million naira compensation. In the judgment, Justice Lifu predicated the dismissal on various grounds, among which are the suit became statute, but at the time it was filed in 2015, and those who initiated the case have no legal standing, which is the legal power to do so. The suit was filed by Muhammad Sani Abacha, the eldest surviving son of the former military ruler and the widow, Ajia Miriam Abacha, on behalf of the executioners of the estate of the late military general. Upon shifting the battle to the Federal High Court, Abacha family, among others, prayed the court to nullify and set aside the revocation of the certificate of occupancy of the property of the late General Abacha. In his judgment, Justice Lifu agreed with Fanoja San that the course of action arose on February 3, 2006, when the certificate of occupancy was revoked, while the case was filed in May 2015, years after the revocation and far more than 3 months it ought to have been filed. Still on judicial matters, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has upheld the nomination of Asue Godalo as governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice A.M. Lamido in the suit marked CAABJCV 642-2024, the appeal court on Monday, 22nd July 2024, dismissed an appeal brought by former Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu, challenging the May 27 judgment of Justice James Omotosho of Federal High Court Abuja, which held that Dr. Asue Godalo is a rightful and duly nominated candidate of the PDP in Edo State. The appellate court held that the trial court was right and unassailable in its ruling that the appellant, Philip Shaibu, did not satisfy the condition precedent before instituting the action. Therefore, the suit was premature. The court also affirmed the trial court's decision that appellant failed to prove his allegations of votes allocation against the respondent. It stated that the conduct of an election as well as results are presumed regular until the contrary is proved, and there was no evidence from the affidavit of the appellant to show votes were allocated to the fourth respondent. Consequently, the court dismissed Philip Shaibu's case and awarded 1 million naira as cast against him and in favor of the respective respondents. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Bagudu, has assured government's commitment to utilizing the additional 6.2 trillion naira budgetary expenditure to stimulate the economy through various infrastructural projects in the 2024 fiscal year. The projects include road and rail projects, water projects, and others. The minister was speaking at a meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation, chaired by Honorable Abubakar Bichi. The minister assured them that efforts are being made to address security concerns across the country. The proposed 3.2 trillion renewed-up infrastructure fund is intended to provide equity contributions or counterpart contributions for priority projects and critical projects that require additional appropriation. It is also to meet the newly proposed national minimum wage, among other things.
That we have to make sacrifices in order for our country to achieve the growth that it requires. Those countries whom we are teaching our children have achieved this, have achieved that. We should stop comparing them ourselves to where they are today. But what choices did they take in the past to bring them to where they are?
In his opening address, Honorable Bichi tasked the minister to give details on the appropriation bill, including the 3.2 trillion naira capital expenditure increase and 3 trillion naira recurrent expenditure for the newly proposed national minimum wage transmitted by Mr. President for accelerated consideration.
2024 renewed of infrastructure funds, as well as the recurrent submission by the Mr. President. From what we have the total of 6.2 trillion, which is 3 trillion recurrent and 3.2 trillion capital increase from the existing 28.7 trillion we passed in 2024 budget.
You're still on to the news on Galaxy Television. Coming up next. House of Representatives urge all parties involved in the ongoing disputes in petroleum sector to cease allegation and counter allegations. Details of that and more coming after the break. Do stay with us. We are glad to have you back. Now, for more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect with us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Galaxy TV News. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page as Galaxy TV. You can also avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. If you have breaking news around you, simply send your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-6666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. The House of Representatives Committee on Commerce has urged the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMASA) and the Nigeria Export Promotion Council (NEPC) to resolve the dispute over unpaid food levy due to NPC since 1979. Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Munir, pledged for understanding between both parties as they stuck to their positions, citing different interpretation of relevant acts.
We at the Parliament are not witch hunters. If anything, we are saint hunters. Confusion and rancor distract government's activities. Both NIMASA and NEPC are government agencies under whose responsibilities it is to ensure that their mandates touch lives. The essence of this gathering is for us all to find the truth and also a lasting solution to this lingering issue. A few days ago, the committee had a public hearing where some bills were looked into by Nigerians to either strengthen the existing laws or enact a new one.
NEPC's Executive Director Nunyayeni maintained that the National Assembly's Act compels NIMASA to fund the council, noting that the refusal of NIMASA to remit the 10% has greatly hindered the operations of NEPC, while NIMASA's representatives, Jude Ofudile, argued that the Act establishing NIMASA does not explicitly require the agency to remit funds to NEPC.
NIMASA was created with a different set of objectives altogether, with clear provisions on how and where to apply its revenue. The officials of NIMASA today were not the officials of NMA, were not the officials of NIMASA yesterday, and will not be the officials of NIMASA tomorrow. So what is consistent? The consistent thread that binds everybody, including members of the National Assembly, is the full application of the law. And suggesting that we engage NEPC on what or how much to pay to NEPC suggests that NIMASA is in possession of surplus funds. It doesn't exist, Mr. Chairman.
Earlier in his remarks, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, represented by the House Leader, Honorable Julius Yombere, directed the agencies to find common ground to resolve the impasse, emphasizing the need for synergy among government agencies to achieve economic prosperity. And still with the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has urged all parties involved in the ongoing dispute in the petroleum sector to cease allegations and counter-allegations pending the outcome of its investigations on the myriad of challenges in the sector. The House Joint Committee, comprising the Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Committee, commenced a forensic legislative investigation into allegations of substandard petroleum products, non-availability of crude oil to domestic refineries, and other related matters. Correspondent Inabuchuki Nabuji sent in the report.
The investigation, according to the chairman of the committee, will proceed in phases, starting with allegations against Dangote Refinery and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority regarding the quality of produce and imported product, as well as a complaint by refining companies about the non-availability of crude oil supply to domestic refineries. They said the committee will also investigate other key items such as the presence of middlemen in crude trading and indiscriminate issuance of licenses and a lack of international standard laboratories to check adulterated product, among others. The investigative hearing, which began on Monday, aims to restore trust and ensure the quality and security of Nigeria's petroleum sector, in line with the federal government's renewed hope agenda.
We are committed to transparency, thoroughness, and accountability throughout this process that will help us to identify and resolve the underlying issue plaguing Nigerian petroleum sector. The committee is also urging stakeholders in the current dispute to de-escalate tension as the committee embarks on the great task of resolving the issue.
Our mandate, as set by the House on July 9th, encompasses a comprehensive forensic legislative investigation into the several critical areas, including but not restricted. 1. The importation and production of substandard petroleum products, the availability of good and quality crude oil supply to domestic refineries. 3. The enforcement of regulatory standards by bodies such as the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the NMDPRA.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who represented the Speaker, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, stated that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to creating a fair and level playing field for producers and refiners in the industry. He urged the Joint Petroleum Committee on Midstream and Downstream sectors to ensure that the pricing model used by all producers does not harm domestic refineries. Kalu also encouraged the committees to work towards aligning the domestic crude oil supply obligation with the nation's energy security in collaboration with sector regulators to address the challenges and re-engineer the regulatory processes. The hearing was adjourned to allow all parties to make presentations on their activities in the petroleum sector.
It must be reiterated that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fully committed. Therefore, I implore the rule of engagement to ensure that the pricing model from the oil producers does not hinder the domestic refineries. I also implore the Joint Petroleum Committee on Midstream and Downstream sectors to work together towards a convergence between the domestic crude oil supply obligation and the nation's energy security as it works with the sector regulators to re-engineer their respective regulatory processes.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has challenged political office holders across various political parties in Nigeria to walk the talk on gender equality. This is as she commended the House of Representatives for initiating and passing for second reading the bill seeking for 70 out of the 360 legislative seats for women. Correspondent Kolojo reports that Tinubu, who had earlier inspected facility at the newly renovated Senate chamber, gave the charge in her speech at the Spotlight initiative of the ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association held at the alternative chamber of the Senate National Assembly Abuja on Monday. She emphasized the critical need to address and overcome the persistent gender disparities in our political system. She posited that after years of advocacy without desired result, legally backed enforcement may be put in place in changing the narratives. Also speaking, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Jibril Barau, called for more women representation in the country's political landscape.
To remove financial barriers by making nomination forms for elective positions free at the grassroots level, ensuring that capable and qualified women can participate.
Acknowledges the importance of women's inclusion in governance and has taken significant strides towards achieving gender parity in politics.
Since the Supreme Court judgment that pronounced autonomy for the local government administration, Nigerians have been hailing the apex court for the landmark decision. In separate opinions conducted by correspondents in Abuja, Kenabuji, they said the pronouncement will make development trickle down to the rural areas. The report. The apex court, in its ruling through Justice Emmanuel Agim, said it is your position that the Federation can pay local government allocations directly to the local government or through the states. But since paying them through the states has not worked, Justice demands that local government allocations from the Federation account should henceforth be paid directly to the local government. Since July 11, the ruling has received several recommendations from all and sundry. While some sections of the population see the judgment as landmark, others think development may be on its way back to the localities when full autonomy is implemented. However, over the years, local governments have operated as a mere appendage of the state government. By virtue of Section 162, subsection 6 of the 1999 Constitution that created a joint state local government account, state governors spend money due to local governments on their behalf. They award contracts on behalf of local governments in their state and make any other deduction they deem fit.
Over the year, the local people has been raped by the joint allocation of the states and all that. But we thank God that the new Nigeria is coming on board with this judgment that our local government is now free from the chains and shackles of most of our corrupt governors that are using the local government funds to do something else.
This motion by Mr. President to be able to allocate funds directly to the local government is one of the best policies that he has come up with. For the simple fact that, you know, the local government areas, they are the closest to the grassroots. And the grassroots are basically the voters, and even apart from being the voters, they are the populace of the country. The elites are at the highest top of the level of governance. So the chairman and the councillor of each local government is the closest person to the next man next door.
Solve the challenges in local area. When you check today, the financial autonomy will reduce insecurity in Nigeria. And I believe, to my personal opinion, that is the best thing that happened within this administration. And they have to continue pressing for total autonomy for local governments, including the type of election local government run in Nigeria.
State Independent Electoral Commission are created by Section 197 of the Constitution. However, they lack both administrative and financial autonomy. According to a local daily of Monday, July 15, 2024, 21 states have caretaker committees running the affairs of their local government. The Supreme Court, in many of its judgments, has said this is unconstitutional, null and void. But the governors continue to ignore the warnings and orders of the apex court. That is how deep the culture of impunity has sunk in Nigeria.
And even the election that we bring into power, those people that we lead in the local government. And we want to say and call for immediate sack of the State Independent Electoral Commission. It must be scrapped if truly we want autonomy for local government. So there will be a level playground for all other political parties to feed candidates into our local government. And then there are some political parties, they don't need to win in the state, they can only win in their locality.
I truly, honestly believe in that because, like I said earlier, they are the closest to the grassroots, and this is what will help with the grassroots because they have the resources and the funds. Like, for instance, I am a woman. I'm concerned about childbirth, about maternity, about, when a woman is pregnant, she goes to the hospital and operations, if there is going to be an operation and everything. Especially, we are talking about, when we talk about grassroots, we talk about the poor people on ground, which are the majority of the Nigerians at that level.
By giving them financial autonomy, I believe it's 3 tiers government. That's what we practice in Nigeria. And we cannot kill one and say 2 should sustain. Now, if the house doesn't have a strong foundation, there is nothing you can build on it. And as I already said, local government is the foundation of democracy in Nigeria.
With the full autonomy implemented, it is expected that local government across the country may begin to wear new looks, with more roads and other critical infrastructures made available for the better of the rural dwellers. The National Agricultural Development Fund, NADF, says it is actively participating in various projects, programs and initiatives that will help alleviate the issue of food insecurity and boost productivity. The Executive Secretary of NADF, Mohammed Ibrahim, disclosed this at an interactive session with Joint National Assembly Committee on Agriculture in Abuja, chaired by Senator Saliu Mustafa. Correspondent Kalojo reports that Ibrahim said the founders invested the sum of 2.5 billion naira to partner with Niger State government among other partnership for increased food production.
Also signed an agreement with the Niger State government for the mixed cropping of production. We are investing about 2.5 billion naira along with Niger State to do a 10,000 hectare farm within the month of July and August, and also expand to 30,000 hectares within the dry season.
In his remarks, Honorable Yusuf Baraje, representing Buzu Baikoro Federal Constituency of Niger State, spoke on the need to partner with Research Institute, which he noted would have alleviated the epidemic that affected the production of food, particularly ginger.
Projects, programs, initiatives that would help alleviate the food security situation we found ourselves. In fact, in the short term, all our activities are geared towards the food security situation. If you would look at it simplistically, we could say it's an issue of demand and supply. And in the recent month or two, we have been looking at unutilized assets that could go into production to help us shore up our supply until one day it meets and hopefully surpasses our demand.
If you are a Nigerian, particularly if you reside in the northern part of the country, we used to have an agency of government called the Research Institute under Ahmadu Bello University. This institute was charged with the responsibility of propagating both new and any other kind of disease or anything that affects agriculture in the country, particularly in the north.
Disregarding traffic rules can be seen as a deliberate attempt to endanger human lives and properties. The first serious consequence of disobeying traffic rules and regulation are the chances of a road accident, which in the best case scenario leads to damage of vehicles with or without injury to people involved. Motorists trying to cross railways without observing prerequisite cautions have unleashed the necessary terror many times. Galaxy News correspondent Lebi Joseph takes a look at the scenario in this report.
Obeying traffic rules and observing safety signs of every railway crossing is important, which every motorist should adhere to for the sake of safety of people's lives.
Major cause of disregard to traffic rules, be it on the highways or the railway track, is because there is no enough enlightenment or awareness. The Ministry of Transportation and the Federal Road Safety Then aside from that, Federal Railway Corporation, they are not discharging their responsibilities.
It's very unfortunate that Nigerians, or most especially Ghanaians, we are lawless. We don't always like to abide by the rules. And that one permeates into every sector, every facet of our life, both within our environment or outside our environment.
Concerned authorities need to go back to original master plan for highways and railways, where road signs are visible and there are gate posts in all levels of crossing on railways.
Where there is no law, there can't be offense. Then once you know that there's law somewhere, definitely there must be an offender. Look at, assuming you are traveling abroad, you are traveling through the airports and all that, you want to check in. They have their rules and regulations. Have you ever seen anybody breaching those rules? You cannot, because they know that the sanction must follow.
If the government must take decisive action, number one, to deal with whoever violates the traffic rules or the railway rules. Then aside from that, the Nigerians should be enlightened in the media, in print media, on television, and even public awareness by using what we call town cry.
Another way to instill discipline in road users is enactment of existing laws on road usage and outright punishment of road offenders to serve as deterrents to others in the society. From Lagos, this is Lebi Joseph reporting for Galaxy TV News.
Moving on to other stories, President Joe Biden announced his withdrawal from the United States November presidential election. Biden has faced pressure to withdraw from the race since his debate with rival Donald Trump, which many adjudged that the president performed woefully, and speculation that he just caught up with him. In a statement on Sunday addressed to Americans, Biden said he would step down and focus on the remainder of his time in office. Meanwhile, Galaxy News correspondent Segun Falomo sought opinions of some Nigerians on the decision of the American president to step down his second-term ambition, while weighing it with sit-tight attitude of some African leaders to power. Dr. Yemi Farumbi is a former Nigerian ambassador to Philippines. Emmanuel Okondiron is a former trade union leader, and Rotimi Aguluafeje is a seasoned journalist. They all share their views.
We are personalizing a common property. But because that high office is the symbol of democracy, is the symbol of the concept of the government of the people, by the people, for the people, politicians in such countries recognize this. I think this is a lesson we must learn. There must be a time we must be able to sacrifice the seal of a high office in the interest of the people.
When you see somebody that doesn't want to deceive himself, he doesn't want to deceive the nation, he doesn't want to betray the oath to uphold the constitution of the country that is leading, such a leader will behave the way President Joe Biden has behaved. You see, some people pushed him, some people talked to him, he thought he had the zeal, fine. But what of the energy? You have the zeal, you have the passion. What of the vigor to carry out the functions that is expected of you?
That tells us what our leader can do here. For instance, where people are older than 70, they are still contesting, and they are contesting. Now, when you want to serve people, and people are saying they don't want to, or you observe that your head is not doing well, then you need to step aside and allow the younger people who have the energy and vibrancy to do it. I think that's one of the lessons we can learn from there. Another lesson we can learn from there is this: public service is not about do or die affair.
Tea farmers in Kiana local government area of Nasarawa State are calling on the Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Army Staff, to wade into the crisis between the Alagos and Tea people in Kiana over land dispute. The Chairman, United Farmers Association, Kadarko Denen Utsa, made the call following the attacks and killing of tea farmers, wanton destruction of properties and displacement of tea farmers. The chairman, Utsa, who expresses worries over the unwarranted attacks and killings, alleged some policemen and men in military uniforms in connivance with the Alagos to grab the land and dispossess them of the ancestral farmland. According to him, the attack has taken place in the market and several other places with the help of some selected ethnic militias to exterminate tea farmers in Kiana local government area of Nasarawa State. Utsa, due to government neglect, over 20 thief IDPs and farmers were killed, many injured, while all thief houses in Kiana town were invaded and the thief farmers forcefully ejected from Kiana local government area town and now taking refuge with their native at Obotosima in Kiana local government area. And still on security-related matters, the police in Delta says it has arrested 5 suspected armed robbery and kidnapped suspects in the Delta communities of Ogara, Sapele and Agbo. The command, in a statement by spokesperson Daffy Bright, made available to newsmen, said the suspects confessed to be members of a secret cult group known as Jeru's Confraternity. They are said to be behind major criminal incident in Ogara, Sapele and environs before they were apprehended under the orders of the Delta Police Commissioner, CP Olufemi Abaniwanda, who directed ASP Julius Robinson to go after them. Items recovered from them include 2 AK-47 magazines and 29 rounds of live ammunition, 1 Barretta pistol and a locally made pistol, as well as Indian app and charms. The Delta Police Commissioner Olufemi Abaniwanda called on Deltans to continue to provide useful information to the command in ensuring the criminal elements are flushed out from the state. You're still on to the news in Galaxy TV. Let's go on a break. When we come back, the news continues. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, moving on with the rest of the news. And the report you're about to see, our correspondent John Felix chronicles the journey of the first African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986, who says going into space remains one of his unfulfilled dreams. We have details in this report.
Oluwole Soyinka, born on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Nigeria, was the first African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986. Soyinka's early life was shaped by his parents' strong cultural heritage and the political turmoil of colonial Nigeria. His writing career began in the 1950s with his debut play, The Lion and the Jewel, which tackled themes of culture and identity. From his early days as a young poet to his later years as a Nobel laureate, Soyinka's work has been a beacon of hope, challenging the status quo and inspiring change. In a rare moment of recognition and celebration, Nigeria's literary giant Wole Soyinka was honored in his home state of Ogun.
That from among us, a great person like Wole Soyinka has emerged. That means that there are so many others who are still hidden. May God bring them out in his own time. We are looking out for more Nobel laureates in physics, in chemistry, in medicine, in mathematics, in various areas, not just literature. So we pray we will get them.
He's just a man of many parts, and that's why you see the whole of Egba, doing our own bit here. So once again, I congratulate him, and I wish him many more years.
What we want, apart from people celebrating the man, is to take on board the lessons of his life and the philosophy and the ideologies that he preaches, which is justice, equity, humanitarianism.
In a fitting tribute, Ogun State Governor described Soyinka as a world-class citizen and a towering figure in literature who has made immense contributions to the nation's educational development. He then honors Professor Soyinka
as our own way of immortalizing Prof's name in his home state of Ogun. We will be naming the 5.7-kilometer Cape Town Idioba Road that leads to Prof's home as well after him. It shall now be called Oluwole Soyinka Road.
Champion for democracy, he is a champion for human rights, and he is a champion for human dignity.
Call him a special being, a unique man, and a special gift to humanity. You may not be out of place. Wole Soyinka is well known across the world for his works and activism. He speaks on one of his dreams that is yet to be fulfilled.
One of them, for instance, is going up in space. As one accomplishment which I see the anchor for. And if any of you know somebody who can buy me a seat on the next rocket, just let me know. And then at the end of that, I will feel absolutely accomplished.
Soyinka's writing is known for its complexity and unflinching critique of power. At 90 years of age, he continues to be a powerful voice, advocating for human rights, culture, amongst others. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
Now, we move to the international desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. After weeks of speculation, Vice President Kamala Harris, endorsed by President Biden to succeed him as a Democratic presidential candidate this fall, will have a bench of new generation party leaders to turn to when she moves towards the first critical decision of her candidacy, picking a running mate. By now, the list of possibilities is fairly well known. Democrats who had already seemed like potential presidential contenders in 2028 or as potential candidates themselves this year. It is too soon to know if Ms. Harris will go unchallenged for her party's nomination. But either way, she needs to begin to consider who would be our running mate in a race against the Republican ticket, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in a month. Democrats will convene in Chicago for their nominating convention. Ms. Harris, 59, would be inclined to turn to someone from a swing state that the party needs to win. She is also likely to turn to a male running mate, Democrats said, to give the ticket balance. Again, though, nothing is certain since the bench includes several women. Minister Nip Noye has been removed from his post following an outcry over comments made suggesting that elections could be rigged. Noye was filmed at a rally on 15 July saying that he would help a fellow running party MP win in the 2025 election. He added that election results are not necessarily those in the ballot box, rather they depend on the person counting and making announcements. Following a public backlash after a video of his controversial remarks went viral, Noye said he had made them in jest. Many Tanzanians criticized the former minister, arguing he had violated the principles of electoral democracy and did not respect the decision of voters. In his apology, Noye said he believed in fair and free elections. Noye also came under fire during the run-up to the 2015 elections when using a football analogy. He said the ruling CCM party would win the poll by all means, even if it means scoring a handball goal. CCM, short for Chama cha Mapinduzi, is one of the longest reigning parties in Africa. It has been in power since its formation in 1977, with opposition leaders accusing it of winning recent election through fraud and state repression. India's Supreme Court has put a note the controversial order that directed restaurants along the route of an annual Hindu pilgrimage to display names of their owners and operators. The order was issued by Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand state governed by the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is in power federally, ahead of the Kanwari Yatra, which began on Monday. Opposition parties and even BJP allies criticized it, saying it targeted Muslim-owned establishment and could affect livelihoods. State authorities claimed the order was meant to maintain law and order. But on Monday, India's Supreme Court temporarily altered the order by hearing a batch of petitions challenging it. The judges said the eatery owners only needed to display names of items they served. The petitions filed by civil society activist and opposition MP Mahua Moitra argued that the order was discriminatory on grounds of religion and would further the cause of untouchability. Still on the international scene, Uganda security forces have surrounded the headquarters of the main opposition party in advance of a planned anti-government rally of alleged corruption and human rights abuses. Police and soldiers cut off access to the office of the National Unity Platform NUP, which sits near the capital Kampala on Monday. The threats of protests have angered long-term President Yoweri Museveni, who claimed it to be a plot being operated by named foreigners. NUP leader Robert Kyagulanyi claimed that the blockade prevented people from entering and leaving, while some have been roughly detained. Bobby Wine, 42, a popster turned politician, has in recent years emerged as the biggest challenger of Museveni. The 79-year-old had ruled the East African nation since 1986. However, Ugandan youth have spearheaded unrest recently and are planning to march to Parliament on Tuesday to protest against alleged widespread corruption and human rights abuses. Police spokesperson Kichuma Rusoke said security forces are taking precautionary steps against what he called NUP's mobilization for the protests. Security forces have stormed the offices of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI party of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan. The raid on Monday comes a week after the government said it planned to disband the party, Pakistan's largest opposition movement. A police contingent sealed off the offices in Islamabad. Acting party chairman Gohar Khan and information secretary Rauf Fazan were detained, according to a party spokesperson quoted by newsmen. The PTI said Gohar Khan has since been released, while a Pakistani police official told Agence France Presse, AFP news agency, that Fazan remained in custody. The latter's arrest came days after he warned the party members were being rounded up. He said 10 had disappeared with no trace in the past 2 months. The crackdown on the PTI follows several court rulings in its favor this month that threatens the government of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who came to power in February with the backing of the military. Lastly, on the international scene, Bangladesh has enjoyed a shaky calm amid the curfew as protesters set the government a 48-hour deadline to meet their new demands. Widespread disruption of telecoms persisted on Monday, a day after the Supreme Court scrapped most of its controversial job quotas that led to the rallies. Clashes between student protesters and security forces killed a reported 163 people across the South Asian nation after the High Court last month revived legislation revoked by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina government in 2018, reserving 56% of valued government jobs for groups such as families of freedom fighters, women and people from underdeveloped areas. On Sunday, however, the Supreme Court ordered that 93% of state jobs should be allocated on the basis of merit. Student protesters have also demanded the release of the 10 protest leaders, the lifting of the curfew, and the reopening of universities shut since Wednesday. They have given the government 48 hours to act, but it was not immediately clear what would happen afterwards. There were no reports of violence on protest on Monday, and media said the curfew would be relaxed for 3 hours in the afternoon, extended from 2 hours the previous day, so that people could buy essentials. And that's it from the international scene.
Coming your way next, entertainment news.
Welcome to Entertainment News. My name is Rose Blossom Moye. Here are the stories for today.
Popular skit maker Nasty Black has announced that he's set to welcome his first child with his partner Esther as they flaunt a baby bump. The comedian broke the exciting news on his social media page by sharing some photos with Esther. The post Nasty Black made contained photos of himself and his baby mama, posing for a maternity shoot with a skit maker kissing her tummy in some slides. He expressed how magical his journey with his partner has blossomed over time, and now they're heading to a new chapter of their lives. Nasty Black shared too the adventures of parenthood and the profound joy that lies ahead of them. It has been a good run for Vicky James on Instagram, as only a few months ago she was celebrating 1 million followers, and now that number has been upped to 1,500,000 followers. Famous fashion designer Vicky James celebrated remarkable growth on Instagram as she hit a whopping 1.5 million followers just a few months ago. She celebrated reaching 1 million followers, and now her followership has soared by an extra 500,000. The celebrity designer shared her excitement on Instagram, admitting she didn't know how to react to such a milestone and expressing her gratitude to her fans. Many of Vicky James' followers congratulated her in the comment, with numerous fans saying the achievement was well deserved. Media personality Israel DMW is overwhelmed with joy and gratitude to his boss Davido as he secures a 10-year UK visa. Israel DMW revealed the exciting news on his Instagram story. He announced that he has fully secured a 10-year visa, sending gratitude to his boss Davido and the UK embassy. Many praised the Afrobeat star Davido's kind hearts in the comment section, while others expressed how much Shayla, Israel's ex-wife, is missing out. Actress Iniedo has reacted unbothered following reports that she was one of the side chicks of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. This comes after the infamous Instagram site Gistlover took to his page to share images of the side chicks of Godswill Akpabio. Gistlover claimed that Iniedo, Hevendo Waneka, Hilda Bassi, Dakore Gbuson, Nasi Sime, Chantel Nandi, and others had romantic affairs with Godswill Akpabio. The blogger further added that these celebrities are benefiting from the Senate President but use their works to cover up their source of wealth. Amidst a social frenzy, Iniedo, who remained unconcerned by the gossip, took to Instagram to share some cute images of herself. However, some social media users flooded the comment section of the actress, questioning her if truly she was one of the side chicks of the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Meanwhile, renowned hair vendor Waneka has refuted trending accusations suggesting that she is one of the Senate President Godswill Akpabio's side chicks. In reaction to this report, Waneka is in a now deleted post debunked all claims leveled against her by Gistlover. She claims that she has no dealings with Godswill Akpabio and urged Gistlover to go back and run their research since they were clearly making a mistake. She also asserted that she has been a married woman for almost all her life, even before arriving in Lagos, and she can account for every penny she makes. Waneka further pointed out that she built a company from the ground up and expressed that she considers this act a disrespect to her and every other hardworking woman out there.
And that'll be all on entertainment news. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rose Blossom Moye. Bye for now.
And that is all we have for you. We thank you so much for watching.